Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast. I said welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast with Andy Ruther and Joe Prano. Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast.
Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Andy Ruther, coming to you live from Cincinnati, Ohio, with my co-host from Port Hueneme, California, Joey No Chill Prano.
Hello, Andy.
Good morning out there in the West.
Good
West
morning.
Coast. Battling a little sickness
Battling
today,
a
I
little
see.
something. 2 days ago, I wasn't feeling so hot. 2 nights ago, I slept in like a long sleeve shirt, sweated it out. Woke up yesterday morning, felt a ton better. Last night, went to the Lakers game, Lakers Knicks. Came home, wasn't feeling so good on the car ride on the way home. Came home, smashed some NyQuil, took some, ibuprofen, dressed in like heavy clothes. I was like, let's take this fucker out. Let's just sweat this shit out tonight. Like, be once and for all, be done with it. I woke up freezing, and I'm just like, this is not good. So here we are.
It's flu season. It's flu season. Runs till about May. I'm on top of it. The situation now with kids. I know about flu season. I used to never care. Flu season, we got a little bit more, but yeah, it's flu season. But you didn't feel it last night when you were at the game.
I felt a little bit, but like, I don't know if it was like adrenaline, but like on the way home, probably about an hour drive from Crypto to my house. Last 10 minutes, I was like, oh, I'm just getting hit with this. This is bad. So I don't know.
Good game to be at.
Super fun. Shout out to Genie Bus and Mr. Genie Bus, Jay Moore, hooking me up with tickets. I didn't wear any Knicks gear. Felt like that was the respectful thing to do. I like quietly cheered for the Knicks while Genie and Jay were sitting like 2 seats in front of me. And then for the second half, they left, which we were talking about it. This might be the ultimate flex. I think, I can't say for sure, but I think she has matching seats on both sides of the floor that she sits at wherever the Lakers are shooting, which so flexy.
Boss move. That's an owner move right there.
That's an owner move. But then I got turned in the second half because the boss and my boss were not around, cheering on the Knicks loudly.
So they're courtside, and you're like what? Just a couple rows behind them?
There's like there's a single courtside seat. There's a single row courtside, and then there's a walkway, and then there's 2 rows, and then there's like the start of like actual seats. So I was in row 1 of actual seats, technically fourth row.
Gotcha.
They were in the second row.
You in the poor. You're in the poor people seats.
Yeah. Bro, it was crazy. I mean, Knicks games get celebs, but Knicks games get New York celebs.
Yeah.
LA got New York celebs and LA celebs. Like Timothy Chalamet, big Knicks fan. He was there. Spike was there. Like a bunch of Knicks fans came out for the game too. Saw Cousin Greg from Succession, Floyd Mayweather, Larry David.
Larry David was
everybody,
there. Yeah.
Everybody but in the Red Hot Chili Peppers except Kiedis. Stephen A., which we'll talk about. Star-studded and kind enough to get VIP patio passes. So in halftime, we went in there and got some free drinks, some free food. And it's just like, this is where you do.
So who are you with? Anybody? You
Charlotte,
okay? You were with your fiance?
Yeah.
Okay.
And at one point, Kurt Rambis's kid gave her a couple of championship rings to wear. And I was like, all of a sudden, my engagement ring does not look nice at all anymore. This is offensive. Like,
So
take that off.
Ramos's kid gave her a couple Laker championship rings just to put on.
Yeah.
Do you know what years those were?
One was 2009.
When he's a coach.
Yeah. And I didn't see the other one. It also had to be a coach because they were fatties.
Okay.
You can check him out on her Instagram.
Yeah, he was Lakers' assistant on those back-to-back teams with Pau Gasol and Kobe. Notice how I said Pau first.
Yeah.
A little slight dig right there. Well, I mean, good game. Obviously not good for your Knicks and not good that Brunson gets injured in overtime.
Yeah. You know, I have a lot of thoughts on this game as it pertains to the Knicks and as it pertains to the Lakers, if you'd like me to run it down. Simple fact with the Knicks, I talked about last episode, Isaiah Hartenstein's, disappearance, like his move to OKC, huge blow for the Knicks. They couldn't afford him, blah, 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 blah. Dante DiVincenzo almost as important, not in like the day-to-day. I think Isaiah Hartenstein helps them day-to-day. But for example, late in that game, when Brunson goes out and you need a shot, there's not a guy on that team who's now, give me the ball at the top of the key, let me go get my shot. They gave it to Deuce McBride. Like Josh Hart's not going to do it. Mikal Bridges is like nice, but like he's not going to do it. Karl Anthony Towns is not that guy. Karl Anthony Towns is a quiet 30 and 15, but 20 and 15, but he's not that guy. Like you need this in this league. You need that guy. And the Lakers won because Luka was taking those shots. And you also have LeBron, and you have a guy like Austin Reeves who can get that shot. You can the Knicks just have Brunson and kind of that's it. So I think come playoff time, Isaiah Hartenstein's always going to be a bigger factor because like game in, game out, 40 minutes, like what you're doing, rebounding, playing defense, being a big, crazier to have lost him. I guess there's nothing you can do, but you traded Dante DiVincenzo when you were building this Villanova team. Everybody knows I didn't want Randall. Just sad he had to go because playoff time, he did that a couple times last year. He shot them back into games. He obviously had the big shot against Philly. Like, he's a give me the ball scorer. And they don't really have another one besides Jalen.
I mean, that sounds like a huge blemish on the team construction then.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, like OG Anunoby's not really it. Like, there is a way where it's like, without Randall, if you kept Hartenstein and Dante DiVincenzo and everybody was healthy, obviously they got killed by injuries last year. Mitchell Robinson was hurt. Brunson was hurt. Josh Hart was hurt. Everybody was hurt. OG was hurt. Healthy, I'm not sure last year's team's not better. Minus Randall, even.
Interesting.
Yeah. Just like tough to watch down the stretch. Like, okay, we get a bucket here. I mean, late in the game, they got the ball with 34 seconds or something like that, down like 2. I don't think they got a shot off till like 14. You got to get a shot off before you get to 24.
Well, it sounds like, again, that's going to be a problem come playoffs. Now, I believe the Lakers have won 8 in a row.
Correct.
And that coincides with 8 straight wins where Luka didn't have minutes limited, where they're restricting what he was going to do. So they haven't lost a game since they took off the training wheels on Luka's minutes.
So here's some thoughts on the Lakers. I've been lucky enough to sit courtside a lot in my life. When my dad was working, he made Donna Karen suits for Patrick Ewing. I famously would get the blessing of
this.
What's that? Yeah, sitting in Patrick Ewing seats. Very similar seats. And It's been a long. I sat courtside for a Lakers game pre-LeBron. This is like 2014 or 20. Yeah, let's call it 2014, in that realm. They were bad. Those Lakers teams were bad. And so you're sitting courtside and you're just there to like, no, there's Money Mayweather. This game sucks. No one cares.
Yeah.
Last night, big game. LeBron, Luka, Jalen Brunson, Knicks, courtside. It's just a different view. You can see a whole lot of things. You watch the game differently. I told my fiance that. I was like, just pick a guy and watch him for a bunch of possessions. LeBron gets no calls. He gets no calls. He gets hit on most every drive. He has to get fucking hacked for him to get a call. Now,
you're saying live, it's complete opposite of what the narrative that's been construed in the media.
Yeah. Now you could say he flops or whatever, but like there's also this, if you don't want the guy to flop, why don't you call fouls? It's Shaq shit, dude. LeBron has a different whistle than everybody else. Second point, Luka. When I say I've never seen somebody complain to the refs as much as Luka, I mean 15,000% more than I've ever seen anybody He complained to the refs from the second he stepped on the floor until the second the game ended. Every second. My fiance, I was like, she's like, what is he doing there? I was like, he's yelling at the ref. He wants a foul. Then like 2 minutes later, she's like, is he still talking about it? I was like, I don't know if it's the same thing or what. And then later in the game, I'm like, look at him. And then she'll go, look at him. Look, the whole game, 100% of the game, when there wasn't live action, he was talking to a referee. And when there was live action, he was talking referee 25% of the time. I've never seen anything like it. And it kind of worked. He got a technical early in the game, and then they wouldn't give him another one. At one point late in the game, he got called for a foul. He ran to the other end of the floor screaming about it. And I'm now getting into like Knicks fan mode. And I go to the referee. I go, he's embarrassing you. He is on the other end of the floor, jumping up and down, embarrassing you. And obviously they weren't going to give him a second technical and throw him out of the game. So like he's playing this whole strategy very nicely. He's doing the Draymond, get the first tech out of the way. Yeah, now I can say whatever I want, work them the whole game.
Sure.
But when I say people call LeBron bitch, when I say LeBron talked to the refs less than 1% of the time that Luka did, I am not exaggerating. I love me. I love Luka. I love his game. Drinking beers, smoking hookah, going to the NBA Finals, big shots, huge shots last night, talking shit to Karl Anthony Towns. Love the dude's game. I have never seen a player complain to the refs on that level. Ever. I was like, at one point, I was like, let it go, bro. Play basketball.
So do you think it's just like a tactic?
I think it's got to be.
Right? Like it's part of his game.
Yeah.
To work the refs, massage the refs a little. Like you said, get that first technical out of the way. They're not throwing him out of a huge game like this to the biggest markets and cities and teams and the whole 9 yards. Like you're saying, celebrities are everywhere. It's like they're not going to let that happen. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So the big headlines from this, one of them, maybe the biggest one, is LeBron confronting Stephen A. Smith over stuff Stephen A. has said about Bronny. Did you see this? So this is how it went down.
So I'm trying to figure out where this is on the court, but basically the whole game, right next to the scorer's table, next to
Okay.
Larry David, etc. Opposite the court from me. Late in the game, when it looked like the Lakers were going to win, Stephen A. like slinked off to like watch the game by like the tunnel because he was doing this thing. And I hate this makes me hate Stephen A. more than anything. He was doing this thing where he's pretending he's a Knicks fan. He's like, oh, what? We're gonna lose. He's like looking around, kind of like we're taking an L. Stop pretending you're a Knicks fan. You're not a fucking Knicks fan. You were a ride or die Allen Iverson fucking Philly guy back in the day when you worked in Philly. You're the most fraudulent Knicks fan that's ever been. We don't want you. Get fucked. Leave. So he's doing this whole thing. And then I guess when the buzzer ended, he must have gone from that spot, kind of like tunnel side, onto the floor. Like, what are you doing on the floor?
Wait, so this wasn't pregame?
I don't know. Was it pregame?
I thought it was pregame.
Oh, that would make sense.
Let's see. Does this look pregame?
Ooh, that might be, you know what?
I could be wrong. I don't know. I mean, it's a quick clip.
That might be mid-game. Wildly. They put those MGM things on the floor for this half-court shot that the dude made.
Okay. So then it's mid-game.
Which is even more wild.
Well, so obviously I have some thought. Like, first of all, so I watched. There's a clip of Stephen A. on his own show. It's about 5 minutes long from late January, where he's talking about Bronny.
Yeah.
And that clip was after Bronny's game. I think it was that against Philly? Where was the game where he just was terrible? Was it Philly? Was it the Sixers? I forget. Regardless, I think it was after that game. I watched the clip. It's, to be honest, it's not even that bad. He literally is just saying, I think LeBron is being so sensitive because he's basically saying, dude, you're setting your kid up for that microscope. Like you're doing that. Now, LeBron, obviously, in this clip that we're showing from last night's Lakers game, he's saying, keep my son out of this shit, which I think is hilarious. Your son's in this shit because of you, LeBron.
Yeah, but also what other 12th man is Stephen A. talking about?
Well, there's a reason all of us are going to talk about it.
Yeah. Did we talk about Mike Piazza striking out because Tommy Lasorda drafted him? Because
Mike Piazza was an all-star. He's a Hall of Famer.
My point is, Bronny James is in year one. He's bouncing back and forth between the D League.
But that was the point of that clip that I'm talking about. Stephen A. is saying he shouldn't be. He's saying Stephen A. even in that clip is not even dismissing his potential. In that actual clip, he's saying, look, man, you're not ready. He straight up says, I'm not going to play a 5-minute clip, but he's basically saying, I'm not saying you can't be an NBA player. I'm just saying you got the whole world on your shoulders right now, which I agree with because of your dad, because you've been pushed into this. Whereas LeBron probably views it as like, I'm helping my kid out.
Do you think Bronny James was pushed into playing basketball?
I think it, I think a lot of times what we do, we follow our parents. Now more so we're talking about fathers and sons. I don't know if he was pushed, and I'm not even accusing him of being pushed. I think we are generally attracted to things our dads like. I think that's a fair statement, right? If your dad's into a sport or he's into a hobby, we're generally attracted to that. So I wouldn't say he was pushed into it. I think that obviously LeBron, we both agree LeBron has the power to elevate Bronny to get him into the league, which we all basically know. That's all I'm saying. And I think that does put a lot of pressure on Bronny. And I think here's always been my issue with LeBron when it comes to this stuff. It's like, dude, why do you care what Stephen A. Smith has to say about?
Well, that's the culture. That's sports today. Because sports today,
I don't think the Mannings are doing that with their kids. I'm just going to say it. I just don't.
You don't think the Mannings are doing what?
I don't think if somebody's critical of a Manning kid, they're gonna confront a personality. I just don't.
Listen. Where is the Arch throws 2 picks? He doesn't belong at major college football. He shouldn't be splitting time with fucking
Ewers.
He's only splitting time with him because he's a Manning. Any other national championship contending team,
but one was highly touted. One was highly ranked out of high school, and again, Bronny wasn't. So again, right. I don't think that's a fair comparison.
Okay, I guess here's my thing with, and this is why I would defend LeBron with this. I thought we were done with this because Bronny James is a two-way player to the G League. Every time he goes to the G League, he scores 25 a game. He was leading the G League in scoring. So I thought we were done with this because I was like, oh, he's obviously an upper echelon G League player. Riding the bench in the NBA is what those guys do.
But again, if this is stemmed from something that was even 6-7 weeks ago, whatever it is, it's like LeBron. It's just like, again, you're holding on to it too long. From my opinion, I'm just like, why do you care? And also,
I was going to say about LeBron, it's like we live in a hot take culture. We live in a hot take. Stephen A. Smith is going to say, the Lakers can't win the championship because LeBron James ain't clutch. He can't hit his free throws. Luka, soft. Denver, you had your run. Like, whatever his thing is, he's going to hot take it. It feels gross to be so desperate for a hot take thing that you are talking about a G leaguer because he's LeBron's kid.
No, but again, if you watch the clip,
I don't remember.
It's not like a hot. It's
no, I know, but I don't remember the Stephen A. Smith rant about this guy gets 2 minutes in the game for the Orlando Magic every year so he can compete in the dunk contest. You ain't in the NBA. This is a sideshow. You shouldn't be in the G League. You're not good enough. And back in my day, Dominique Wilkins was scoring 21 points a game and dunking in the All-Star game. Now we got Mac McClung. They're pretending this guy can play. Letting him hang around G Leagues so he can steal dunk contests from a black man. And you're like, okay, you didn't do that because his name isn't Mac James.
Yeah, but again, come on. Let's be fair to the situation. If it's any star of LeBron's caliber's kid, they're going to be under a microscope. They just are. Like, Arch Manning is going to be under the biggest microscope ever because of the name. He's a man. Like, that's just how it is. So of course he's not going to talk about insert player X in the G League. He's talking about LeBron's kid, who we all know, who after that performance looked completely unready for the NBA at the time of the video. That's all I'm saying. Like if I'm LeBron, dude, you also know what you're doing. LeBron knows. You talk about a hot take. That's fair. We do live in a hot take. I'm not disagreeing with that. But by doing that, LeBron, you're now turning it into a thing.
I'm not saying
where you just text him.
LeBron's right, but I am saying you go to this other level now where it's just like you're protecting your kid from a guy who's attacking your kid. He's attacking Bronny because he's LeBron James' kid.
100%.
That's what we're doing. This isn't.
Yeah, there's no disagreement on that.
Right.
There's no disagreement. I'm agreeing.
So now it's about LeBron James as much as it's about Bronny James, right? You're attacking a 20-year-old kid because he's LeBron James' son. Stephen A. Smith made it about LeBron. LeBron didn't make it about LeBron.
But my point is that LeBron put his son in that position then to create possible criticism and all the garbage and shrapnel and everything that comes with it is because the reality is if you're not LeBron James's son, you're not playing in the
But
NBA
what
right
is the
now.
benefit of it? Like, what is the
benefit of what?
What's the benefit of like doing a first take monologue about Bronny James?
Well again,
end all be all, first and last reasoning.
No, again, this wasn't a first, like this clip. Again, I don't know if this is the clip, but this is the one people think it's about. Was just his own show, a quick little 4 minute, whatever it was, monologue. My thing is, look, I'm a parent. I get you got to protect your own. Like you got to protect your kids. That's the number one job as a parent. I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just also saying, LeBron, now it's a lot bigger thing than if you're just like, you have Stephen A, you have access to him. Be like, yo man, just back off on my kid. Send him a message, send him a call, whatever it is.
Don't put anything in writing that you don't want people to read.
Sure, don't do that. So call is always the best thing. But that's all I'm saying is like, look, that's all I'm saying about this. Like it's back to now we're talking about this when the Lakers, when the Lakers have won 8 games in a row.
We've talked about the politics of stuff before because a lot of this, the way 24-hour sports news is modeled after 24 hours politics news. We talked about this last episode.
It's the same thing.
They did. I don't know if you remember. I don't know if it's SNL or if it was whatever. They did a Barron thing. Somebody did a Barron thing 2016.
Barron Trump?
Yeah. And then the response was, we're not doing kids. We're not doing kids. Move on.
Well, he was 10.
Well, he wasn't 10.
I think he's only like 18, isn't he?
Okay, however, but like the point was, I think that's a respectful way to handle it. Like you might think he's a piece of shit and a monster and whatever, and he goes, and if his dad doesn't want him in the spotlight, why is he dragging him around? But to attack someone just because they're someone's kid, it just feels a little bit gross. So I understand that LeBron didn't make the right move. I'm not saying this was a good move by LeBron James, but I understand it. I understand being like, why you got a hard on for my kid, dude? You don't have other shit you can talk about? I know you don't know shit about the NFL, so it's hard to talk about the NFL. I know you don't know shit about baseball. I know you can't,
So Bronny is off limits because he's LeBron's kid?
No one's off limits. But again, if you're seeking out the 12th guy on the bench, if tomorrow the Knicks media decides to go at somebody from the Knicks game that got 0 minutes, I'll be like, what the fuck is this about? Why you have it out for Tyler Kolek all of a sudden? What? I'd be like, get me to the bottom of this. You're just like a rando New York WFAN fucking talking head shitbag. You're just going to what? Why are you going at the 12th guy on the bench? I'd be like, something's up. Now we know what something's up. Stephen A's doing it to piss off LeBron. That's what he's doing it for.
Well, look, I mean, you can make that argument, but again, I have talked about Bronny on the show. It's like how can we not? This was a huge ordeal when he was drafted because everybody's like saying the same thing. This is nepotism at its highest level and all those things.
And I was like, well, we solved that. Plays pretty good in the fucking G League. He's obviously a G leaguer.
I mean, look, I at the end of the day, to me, it goes back to, I think we talk about the old heads. I think just in general, I think these NBA guys are the most sensitive.
Oh, yeah. No doubt about that.
Right. Like
Luka complained to the refs for 100% of the game.
So I'm saying, like, I think
I texted our boy Andrew from Austin, big Luka guy. I was like, he yelled at the refs for 125% of the game. Like, he yelled at the refs for more minutes than there were in the game.
It's hilarious. I mean, look, it's like there's a civil war. I mean, it's hilarious. Like we talked about last episode, with the sensitivity, the old heads, the new heads. It's like Charles Barkley is now going on air. I believe this was last night, and he's going at Kendrick Perkins, and he's taking lots of digs at ESPN, who I think he's going to work for ESPN and ABC next year, which is hilarious. And I don't know if you saw the clip, he even brings up the 90s, which I think is hilarious, because it's like he doesn't see it. He's like, we're not stuck in the 90s. It's like, well, you are.
Yeah. By the way, that was my other takeaway from the game. Haven't sat courtside for a competitive NBA basketball game in a long time. Again, 2014 was like basically an exhibition. I used to watch a lot of Knicks games courtside in the 90s. Basketball now is infinitely better. It's infinitely better. These guys are doing shit. That would be every layup was a jump out of your seat layup in 1997.
Well, of course it is. Of course it is. Every sport is better.
Yeah.
Go to a football game now and go to a football game in 1998. Like, get out of here, guys.
Yeah.
Everything is better. I mean, I don't know how many times we're going to say it. Basketball is not the only sport where it peaked in the 90s. Whether it's team sport, individual sport, every sport is better. Like, this narrative is stupid. Yeah, the rules change, and the quote unquote, like, how hard you can hit a player in football or even in the NBA on fouls, like, all that's changed. Yeah. The skill level's never been better. End of story.
Like by a landslide compared to the 90s. I was like, what the fuck, dude? This is
and by the way, that goes from like the NBA level down to grade school. Sorry. Yeah. Go watch a grade school basketball game. It's better now than it was when we were in the 90s. Like, it just is. Like, go watch a football game, dude. Go watch a high school football game. I went to one of my high school games last year. I go, what is this? What kind of offense are they running? like this is insane. You guys are running an elaborate, like, everything is better. The idea that 90s is peak basketball is stupid. I do want to bring up the Mavs, Luka's former team. So the Mavs are interesting right now because, first of all, Kyrie's out for the year. So, well, everything's just hitting them. They also decided, I don't know if you saw this, ticket prices are going to go up next year.
That's offensive.
The Mavs announced this week that they're increasing. Somebody put this on Twitter, and then everybody went with it. That his season ticket prices has increased by 8%. It's amazing.
See, for me as a sports fan who doesn't watch a lot of, network coverage, where's Stephen A's rant about this? Far more offensive. Like, to me.
No, I agree.
Far more offensive than Bronny James being in the NBA.
Well, that's why I want to put on the rundown.
We gutted our team. Prices are going up.
And here's my advice
about that.
Yeah, and here's my advice to the Mavs fans. The same thing I've been saying to sports fans in general. Guys, just don't take it over. Just don't bend over and take it in the ass. Man up and cancel your tickets. Man up. All you sports fans, it is 100%. You all have battered wife syndrome. Oh, well, like it's dude, if they raised your tickets, don't go. Oh, it's my time away from my wife and kids. Cool, dude, find something else. But, like, I always use the restaurant analogy. You're not going to continue to go into a restaurant that has bad service, has bad food.
Right.
That's what the Mavs are doing. They're giving you a lot of bad food. The waiter's spitting in your drink. The chef's rubbing his balls all over your filet. It's like I don't know. And then you're still probably going to go. Mark Cuban finally spoke out about it, by the way, or finally commented.
He did.
Finally. I just saw this before we went live on air. So, yeah, we finally have a comment. Where is this? Did I add this? I thought I added this. Yeah, here we go. This was 4 hours ago. This was on a local radio show. It's always local radio, isn't it? His argument was kind of everything you were saying. If the Mavs are going to trade Luka, just get a better deal. No disrespect to Anthony Davis, but I firmly believe if we had got 4 unprotected number ones, Anthony Davis and Max Christie, this is a different conversation.
Well, 100%.
And he's saying he didn't know. So he said, look, I sold, he sold, reminder, he sold majority. He unloaded 72% of his team equity.
The initial news was still the head of basketball operations. He slid out of that quickly.
Well, that's addressed in this. Cuban said at the time of the sale that he would still have influence in basketball decisions, which has not proved to be true. So I don't know what
seems crazy to not have that written down.
I was just going to say, I apparently it does sound like there was nothing legally binding here.
Where's Mr. Wonderful to do your fucking paperwork?
And then he went on record saying he has not talked to Nico Harrison about it.
What is going on?
This all sounds bizarre. I've talked to Nico once, maybe twice since the trade. We have not talked about the trade.
Okay.
Cuban says he has no regrets about selling the team. I mean, it is bizarre. Dude, if I'm Mark Cuban, also, again, somebody who his whole life, if you looked at his history and just all these billionaires like this, they're just workers from day one. And he's created all these businesses literally as a kid, through his way through Indiana, through it. Like these guys are, again, they're like next level. It's how you get to be a billionaire. What I find interesting is you built this thing up, Mark. The Mavs were like the biggest joke in the NBA. You literally did, arguably in my lifetime, I really don't know a franchise that maybe the Patriots, because they used to be a joke as well. And you can maybe say more so with crap, but I think even more with the Mavs because of what he did with the arena and the fan experience, all that stuff. Anyway, wow. What's crazy to me is that, like, dude, you built all this up and then you just like sold it to people that don't give a fuck. I'm not saying it hurts your legacy, but they're shitting on your legacy is what I'm saying. Like, I would think his ego would say, hey, like, I don't want to sell it to these people. I don't know. Just a thought.
Yeah, or actually have say in basketball operations like you said you would.
Yeah, or that. So, I mean, according to everything he's saying, again, we don't know. But Mark Cuban's basically saying he's out of the loop.
Well, I would fucking hope so.
Yeah, I would too. I mean, it's the whole thing again is it's just embarrassing that all this is happening. And I mean, talk about it.
He did. I think one of his statements was like spending more time with his family and stuff like that. Right?
That's in this article. That's what he said. And he
feels
actually
weird for Stephen A. Smith not to go with that family and say,
unbelievable,
that you ruined what had become one of NBA's premier franchises because you guys can't wipe your own ass. Your dad has to hang out with you. Man's a billionaire. He can put you on a private jet wherever you want. You want to go to the Bahamas? Go to the Bahamas. You want to go skiing? Go ski. Why you need your dad to hold your hand? Dallas Mavericks crumbling in front of us after being in the NBA Finals last year. Because you need your daddy to be your whoopee. Come on.
He actually said in this article that this is proving why he sold the team, because his kids inherited the team. He said, I didn't want them to be in a position where they make a mistake like this, and then they just got to deal with it. But what's confusing to me is, Mark, you're still at the games, bro. So like now you're almost just like you're relegated to like the super fan.
Yeah.
like you're not making basketball decisions.
Crystal.
Yeah. It's like, is that what you are now? I don't know. It's like, what a let me ask you this about the Mavs. I saw somebody post something and there was a huge discussion going on Twitter about it. I thought it was an interesting discussion. Like somebody posted something like, in my lifetime, I've never seen a transformation for the worse of any pro sports team from like they make the finals to right now in my life.
Yeah.
And as far as the future, I don't know off the top of my head because guys get injured, guys come back from injury.
Yeah.
We're talking, you trade a generational player, Kyrie shreds his knee.
Again.
You're trying to raise ticket prices. Literally, your GM has to have like a security team around him because fans want his head. Never seen anything like that. Don't go though. That's my advice to Mavs fans. Don't go. I don't even know if it'll matter, but if you're going to be angry and upset, to me that's not a way to go to sports, right? Like sports are supposed to be an entertainment, a joyous occasion. If you're going to go, don't go to like hate. That's just bad vibes.
Yeah.
You know what they need down there? They need to follow suit with their football team. And normally I don't applaud the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
But the Dallas Cowboys have had a big deal with Miller Lite going on for all these years.
I went and saw the Giants get absolutely manhandled there on a Thanksgiving day. One of the best days of my life. Miller Lite bars everywhere.
Right?
This is the best.
It's like,
and in the Miller Lite courtyard, hanging out at the Miller Lite gate, going to the Miller Lite bar. This is the only good thing all of Dallas.
Yeah. Well, that's what the Mavs should be doing. Guys, don't be raising your ticket prices. Create more Miller Lite fan areas.
Free beer until we have an all-star on the floor again.
Yeah. Do the Miller Lite fan zone, where they offer 2-for-1 Miller Lites so they can drown their sorrows of their team. A little pick-me-up. Miller Lite, guys, the taste you can depend on. No games, no gimmicks, just a great beer for people who like beer. Miller Lite, great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/dirty sports to find delivery options near you, or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. And if you want to see it, there it is on the screen. Real simple. MillerLite.com/dirty sports.
Get that delivered to you.
Yeah, get that stuff delivered to you.
Baseball's here. NFL draft is here. Basketball's ramping up to the playoffs. This is that time of year where you just sit in your house, do the Morgan Freeman from Dark Knight, 25 screens. Just drink Miller Lite.
Well, you mentioned the NFL draft. Free agency is kicking in. I always forget that, like, a lot of stuff happens in March. A lot of stuff happens.
Yeah, they just start cutting guys that you thought were good. By the way, you know who was at the game last night?
Who's that?
I didn't know who he was at first. And I was like, who is this dude? He's jacked and he's big. Puka. He's
big, huh?
Big. He is a big, sturdy dude.
I've been sharing the clip. Have you ever seen the clip on draft night with Puka and Sean McVay and the Rams GM, Les Snead? It's a great clip. It's like 45 seconds long. And I was, my buddy was like texting me about the Bengals. I go, this is the anti-Bengals right here. It's a great clip. Puka's available, right? He's 5th round. McVay's literally, the camera's on him, right? They're doing one of the draft room, like, inside things. And McVay's just like, this is my guy. And he's listening. He goes, he's got this. He goes, I can turn him in this. And then Lesney, he's like, yeah, in our system, we're going to make this guy a thing. It's just remarkable to see a GM and coach work together. And Les Snead's like, I'm going to get him on the phone right now. Say, let's draft him. And McVay's like, I got it. And he's listing all the things that he can do. And I'm just like, it's amazing, right, Joe? And you watch that, you're like, two guys working in sync for a 5th rounder who just know. And then Puka goes in and he breaks all those rookie records.
Yeah.
And then you have organizations that just continually whiff.
Yeah. But
Just
like, imagine the amazing mental ability also to think so highly of a guy and then wait for him. Take him as a 5th.
Yeah. I don't know how that played out. We don't know about that in the thing, but obviously he was available if that was on purpose. But again, I look at the Rams and I'm like, you drafted Cooper Kupp in the 3rd round. He ends up being a Triple Crown winner, MVP, Super Bowl winner. You other guy, like your last 2 guys were a 3rd and 5th round pick. It goes back to everything that you say in particular about if you have a coach and you have a system.
Should I put my feet up and let you rant on the Bengals right now?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
I wasn't even going to rant on the Bengals, but that's my point. I mean, they're part of it, but I was going to say you have a Sean McVay, you have a Kyle Shanahan. Like these guys are not drafting. Oh, who's this guy or who's that? It's like they're getting guys that they know can work in their system. They're getting guys that they know can fit. And then you have other programs or other teams, I should say, who just suck at drafting. They just suck. And it's always fascinating to me to see all that stuff play out and see where these guys go. I saw today's news, Myles Garrett in the Brown situation is just awful. And I'm glad that this was, or I'm bringing this up because it goes back to owners. The news is Myles Garrett, who we all know requested a trade. He directly wanted to speak to Jimmy Haslam, the owner of the Browns, who said he's not going to speak to him. Dude, imagine that.
What?
Imagine that. Yeah. Dude, you talk about a shitty organization. You're not going to speak to your star player? Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's literally the report. Cleveland is digging in and say they're not going to trade him. Cool. Who wants take sports out of who wants an unhappy employee? You're not going to speak to your employee? Get fucked, dude.
Let me ask you something, Jimmy Haslam. When your son came home from school and he had a field trip, you signed his permission slip? Did you? Myles Garrett's your son. Take a phone call.
Dude, it's embarrassing. If I was Myles Garrett, like I'm just, their argument is, okay, we have you under contract. Cool, dude, talk it out. He works for you. You work for him. It goes both ways.
Yeah, we have you under contract. Cool. I don't want to play for it anymore. It seems like we have come to an impasse.
Yeah, so let's talk it out.
Yeah.
You're this almighty billionaire. You're too good to speak with one of your players?
I think, unfortunately, that's how a lot of these guys are.
I think they are too. Newsflash, your franchise is a dumpster fire. You literally made the worst trade in NFL history. Maybe you should talk to your players. Maybe get a pulse on what's going on. Clown. So DK Metcalf wants a trade. We got some of the news. That's a big story. I'm sure he'll go somewhere, and he's obviously got youth on his side, and he's got some great seasons. It's like here's my thing. If he goes somewhere, talk about bad ownership. If DK Metcalf goes somewhere and gets signed before the Bengals do whatever they're going to do with T. Higgins, T goes up, guys. I know the Bengals have not understood this. Max Crosby signs the deal. Oh, Trey Hendrickson's worth more money. Oh, now he wants a trade? Okay, cool. It's like fans get blinded by 1 or 2 good years and then want to ignore the other 30 years of
Especially
shit.
with receivers, dude. These receivers. DK Metcalf passes prime because these guys just come into the league. So, I think it's crazy when some of these guys get traded for 5th rounders and shit. But if you're DK Metcalf and you're requesting a trade, I'm just calling around asking for 3rd rounders. First team that jumps on it, you're gone.
You'd already say he's past his prime?
Just the way that dudes, like, when's the last time we talked about DK Metcalf?
Yeah, we haven't. He's 20. I mean, he's 27.
Every single day, a new kid walks into the NFL that's the best receiver you've ever seen in your fucking life.
Yeah. It's definitely a replaceable position, and that's why I was always, I was obviously even texting with Justin Wood, and it's like that was always my stance to Bengals fans when they looked at the 3 guys that they were trying to sign, Chase, Higgins, and Hendrickson, and I said, you got a guy who has 36 sacks the last 2 seasons. I don't care if he's 31. You keep him, and you get rid of T. Like it's not that difficult. Your entire D sucked. Literally every team they played could focus on one guy because the rest of the Bengals defense was a flaming hot.
I'd argue the smartest thing that you could probably do if you're the Bengals is franchise Hendrickson, sign T, and let
Hendrickson's still under contract.
What's that?
That's the difference.
Got it.
Hendrickson's due $16 million.
He wants an extension.
He wants an extension with more money.
Yeah.
Basically. For his current deal. It's like,
I mean, I'm not big on signing 31-year-old defensive ends either, but
me either. Nothing long term. But why don't you find it? You can't find a common ground. Now I know what they're doing. They're basically doing the same thing the Rams did with Stafford. They're saying, see if there's people out there that are willing to pay this, and there will be somebody. And then we'll work out a deal. But again, my thing is this. This guy is defensive player of the year runner-up. He has just been an absolute beast the last few years. You're just going to replace, like, we talk about a history. You have a terrible track record of drafting right defensive players.
And also, your defense is terrible.
Your defense is terrible.
Yeah.
You're going to take away the one great thing. The one great thing. But again, it's like people will also try to justify some of these things. Like I'll see things and I'll go, I'll tell someone be like, well, if you break down his 17.5 sacks this year, he had 0 against the Eagles, good O-line. He had 0. And I want to be like, yeah, dude, nobody on their team was good.
Yeah.
They all focused on him when he played a good team. So there's so much you can do. It's interesting when I watch all this stuff play out. We talk about the Rams and we talk about how that works.
It's just crazy for the Bengals. You have 2 receivers. Just figure out the value. Figure out who you're going to get better value out of for the money between T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, and you move on from the other one. The idea of signing both of these guys, even one to, like, the franchise tag is just that. Like, you're paying him.
Yeah.
Paying both of these guys is not how you build a team.
That's what they're going to do.
Right.
I already know it. They're going to trade Hendrickson and they're going to pay the 2 receivers because Joe Burrow needs his binky. He can't let go of his binky. Which again, we talk about owners and players. Bring him in. It's like parenting. Prop up your kid, prop up your QB, and say, look, man, I know you want both these guys. Give him like a confidence boost. Look him in the eye and say, but I think you can make this year's draft the next T. Higgins. We have faith in you. Prop him up. Give him confidence. I know you want this, but our defense is AIDS. You knew that, man. Come on. You're losing games where you're scoring 30 points a game consistently this year. That's what you got to do. Massage your star QB a little. Don't let him dictate what you want. But the problem is fans just accept it. They just accept it.
Fans want it because that's the big name.
They want it. They don't care about, oh, this guy could really be great for the O or D line.
No.
It's not sexy. Even though the blueprint is right in front of all of us. It's like, would you rather watch a 9-8 team score 35 points a game, or would you rather be in a Super Bowl parade? Because you'll never forget the other stuff.
Right.
I have won one championship my entire life. I remember that vividly. I don't remember other shit. I just don't. I could tell you where I was for every game of that Reds World Series, every single game, all 4 games, where I watched it. You remember that shit. Which is a good segue, Joe, into my Reds and what the actual fuck.
What's going on with your Reds?
You know the news this week that Donald Trump said he will pardon Pete Rose, which I'm like, well, 1, he's dead.
Yeah. 2, he fucked kids.
3, and that's not even what that's for. That's what's crazy. I'm like, is this for some sort of sex with a minor, sexual assault?
No, but you pardon that, it's going to cover it.
Okay. So I don't even think he's going to be tried for that. So it's more about the baseball thing, which I'm like, okay, to me, I see this and I'm like, okay, this is like a classic Donald Trump thing. I'm just going to come out of left field with just some wild thing. It's like, that's kind of his MO, right? Get people talking about it. I'm going to say some wild thing. And then Manfred's like, oh, we're going to look at Trump. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah. Which
to me is even more wild. Like, wait, because the president said something, you guys knew. Everyone's known about the Pete Rose situation for 40 fucking years.
Yeah.
So now the headline, the same day, Rob Manfred considering removing Pete Rose from MLB's ineligible list. What? Like, to me, again, everything wrong with baseball. This is what you guys are looking at?
Rob Manfred needs to be Luigi Mangione. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Tell you, that's first step to fixing baseball. And the notes should say, if the next commissioner comes from the Bud Selig, Rob Manfred bloodline, we'll kill him too.
Again, it's just like, I think of
like obviously Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, for
we
sure.
all agree on that. But
yeah.
It's just so fucking, this whole thing is lame. To turn it into some fucking, talking point. I'm gonna get rid of the IRS and then I'm gonna get Pete Rose into the Hall of Fame.
It's so wild.
Also, Gulf of America. How you like that? Also, I'm buying Greenland and Iceland because I don't know the difference between the two, but we're gonna own them both. Everybody's always said Greenland's ice and Iceland's green. Not anymore. I'm going to buy them and switch it. Iceland will be the icy one and Greenland will be the green one. Also, Pete Rose's stan will be Canada. If you want to have sex with a 15-year-old, you go across that border into Pete Rose's stan. His followers are like, I do want to.
I just, again, like, it's very Trumpian and like that him doing this or even saying this. Cause again, you're like, what, where did this come from? I think
I'm waiting desperately because obviously California hates him. I'm waiting desperately for him to be like, we're getting into California. California's out. I'll be like, let's fucking go.
Out of what?
Out of America. We don't want him. We'll be fine with 49. We'll be back.
You think California could California wouldn't function on its own?
California would function better on its own.
You're out of your fucking mind.
California has the 5th biggest economy in the world, Andy.
Okay, they have a big economy, but
and then it's torn out of their hands and given to Mississippi.
Dude, everything we've seen, it's run so inefficiently. which most governments are. I'd say most states are, but like, you think California would do better on its own?
Well, what's the federal government doing for California right now?
As far as what?
But as far as anything, putting back the Army Corps of Engineers is putting back up fucking telephone poles.
Well, I haven't followed. You're talking about the fire aftermath?
I'm just talking about whatever. Like what? I don't deal with the federal government on any given day at all.
I think the bureaucracy is like one of the biggest issues, and there's enough evidence there, especially with like just the wastes that California does. And again, I would argue most cities, most states, it's a mess. Like the homelessness thing, it's like they've put money into it. Where does it go? Like that's a prime example of like California. What are you guys doing with it?
Yeah. Well, I can fix that in 3 seconds. I already talked about it. But then you get to an issue where California becomes its own thing. And it's like, yeah, guess what? We're not taking every fucking Mississippi homeless person anymore who's like, if I'm going to be homeless, I'm going to be homeless on the beach. And think about all the waste. And think about all of a sudden you have a excess.
What's the solution to that? What's the solution to that?
Homelessness?
I mean, because it's a complicated issue, legit.
Yeah. It's not that complicated though. Put more money toward the VAs and mental health. Everybody's a drug addict, has mental illness, or is a veteran. You are allowed to bring your drugs to a homeless shelter. You got to check them when you get there, put them in a locker. You can uncheck them when you get out. You got to talk to a drug counselor when you arrive. 10-minute sit down. If you want to bring your drugs in, you can. You talk to a drug counselor. You put them in a locker. You go get your food. You go get your bed. You leave with them in the morning. Even Democrats aren't progressive enough to go, we can't give drugs back to people. Then they're not coming.
Well, I guess my question is,
so now you're spending billions of dollars for empty homeless shelters.
Well, even the homeless shelter, like it's a problem. Like I was just seeing something. I was following these guys. I was seeing. Do you remember the Ramada Inn?
Yeah.
Have you read anything on that?
In Marina?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, it was supposed to be converted for housing. This is like a microcosm of all this stuff. The millions of dollars put into it, and you're like, okay, so then where did that money go? Somebody's getting a cut somewhere.
Of course.
We're not housing any people. Like that's my thing is, okay, you have a homeless problem. You have people to house, but we need fixes. We can't just build things and then nobody goes in them, or we can't just ignore the problem.
But no one's going to go because they're getting robbed and they're not allowed to bring drugs.
So you would let them come in. They can't use the drugs while they're there?
No. Get a drug locker. You do it fucking on the curb before you come in. Then you got to sit with somebody 10 minutes, and then you get your tray. You can go get food. And on the way out, you can get your shit.
So you're saying like short-term stay.
Homeless shelters, people leave every night anyway. They live on the streets, but they sleep in homeless shelters. And no one goes. You remember there was a bus that came down to the Big V on Venice? It's like happy hour every night. Open its door. Going to a homeless shelter. No one got on. 2 people got on every night. It was a bus. Huge yellow school bus. Room for 75. 2 people got on. Because they're like, I'm going to stand under Joe's window and do crack cocaine.
Do you think if all drugs were legal, that would fix a lot of this or make it worse?
I mean, in a way, but now we're going even further to Republicans won't even let them have their drugs back after the fucking in the morning, let alone making them legal. You'd be lucky if pot's not criminalized again in fucking a month and a half.
What's that?
You'd be lucky if pot's not criminalized again in a month and a half.
It's going the opposite way. Every place is legalizing pot.
Yeah. Every place was legalizing abortion, dude.
Well, that was more of a state issue that to be honest, if you read, I think those are more apples to oranges from stuff I've read of like as far as the legal stuff. I don't obviously I'm not a lawyer, but like even Ruth Bader Ginsburg herself was like, this is more of a state issue. Which again, I don't know how to read that because I don't know law shit. But even abortion, states now who put it on the ballot, it's fucking crushing. The same way with weed. Most people are pro-abortion. Most people are pro-marijuana, right?
Yep.
So if you put it on the ballot, it's like fucking legalize it. But the homelessness thing is just like, I don't know, it's a very complicated issue, I think. I don't think there's like a wand you can wave.
Mental health issues, veteran affairs. I mean, I hate to say it because I know you have a lot of family that's, military, but like taking money away from veterans right now. Homelessness is not getting better in California when we take money out of veterans affairs. I've always said the same thing about veterans is the same thing about NFL players. You put in your certain amount of time, you get taken care of.
I agree.
The military industrial complex and the NFL have more money, are the two things with the most money in the world.
No, trust me, I agree. I'm advocate number one as far as like, hey, you go do a shitty war, a bullshit war, which are basically all of them at this point, and then you come home cracked out of your head, out of your mind, and then they don't take care of you. Yeah, trust me, I agree. I don't think
there's also the who signs up for it in the first place. I would argue that you're getting a certain type of person to sign up voluntarily to do that is going to be predetermined to do that. And let alone if they fucking see wartime or whatever. The majority of people that are signing up for the military aren't top of their class in high school going to West Point.
True.
They're fuck ups. And a judge said it's a DUI or it's the Army.
Or it's an opportunity out with like, the GI Bill that you can eventually get education and all those things. But yeah, the majority, I agree. The majority are not going to an academy.
Like we're going to be shocked when the kid who shit in socks and threw it at his teacher has mental illness one day. He had mental illness when he enlisted.
By the way, speaking of poop sock, there is a throwback
Episode up.
Yeah, I put it up yesterday.
Is that for everyone? Is that free?
No, that is for Substack.
Love
subscribers. So this
is the infamous San Francisco
Bumble Chick.
And that was 8 years ago?
It was 4th of July weekend, 2017.
Wow.
And I think we recorded on your birthday because I think you say, like, doing this shit on my birthday. So July 5th.
Love it.
Yeah. So I think you guys should check that out. I think that's a good one.
Absolutely. I'm going to
give us a shout. 310-359-8365. I know your
struggle's real.
I can tell.
I'm going to go outside and lay in the sun. Hopefully get some vitamin D. You can see me. What?
Vitamin D's nuts.
Go to joeprano.com/shows. Come see me again early May. I'll be in Athens, Georgia at the Athens Comedy Festival. Waiting to get my exact dates for that. Going to try to tag on a show in Atlanta if I can. So stay tuned for that. Got some shows locally coming up. Follow me on Instagram at Joe Prano, TikTok at Joe Prano. Give the Jay Moore podcast more stories to listen. We have Ike Barinholtz this coming Tuesday. You know him from Mad TV. You know him as the best friend in a lot of movies like Neighbors and whatever. You also may know him as the executive producer of Running Point, the new Jeannie Buss executive produced basketball show. Have you watched that at all, Andy?
No, like I said, Brittany's been watching it.
It's good. It's actually funny. I'm surprised how edgy it is for whatever. And anyway, there's one point in the show where they cut to a random fan cheering. And me and my girl are watching it. And we were like, is that Macaulay Culkin? Just like, it was like basically the Rob Schneider of this show. They like cut to him in the stands wearing like, he's like, go Waves. And I was like, was that Macaulay Culkin? And then Macaulay sitting in front of me last night in the orange Waves, Los Angeles Waves hoodie, low key rooting for the Knicks. He's like, I'm going to wear orange to this game. I was like, what? Well played. He was rooting for the Knicks. I sat behind Macaulay Culkin for most of the game.
You sure it wasn't Joe Burrow?
Yeah. Well, if you saw Macaulay Culkin standing next to Puka Nacua, you'd have been like, yeah, that's Macaulay Culkin.
He's a little dude, isn't he?
He could have left the game in Puka Nacua's pocket.
Why are they always so small?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
It's weird.
They? You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
all them actors, they're all so tiny.
Weird. I mean, so many celebs there. I think I was crazily enough, I think I was most shocked, like starstruck to see Cousin Greg from Succession. I was like, it's Cousin Greg.
He's a good random one.
Yeah.
That was a great show, man.
So good.
By the way, your love of White Lotus.
What's that?
You love White Lotus, don't you?
I honestly, I don't even understand it.
I was asked by my significant other. She's like, "There's a new season out. I think you'd really like it. I know you love Walton Goggins, and let's watch it." And I was like, I'm thinking, Prano loves the show too.
No joke, like, the guy who produces it, Mike White, creator, showrunner, writer, producer,
former Jets quarterback.
No, if you saw him, you'd be like, oh, that guy. I'm like this. I'm not joking, Andy. When I watched the first 2 episodes of it, this is years ago now, I was like, this dude is pulling the ultimate punked. This dude is putting out a show that is not enjoyable and makes little to no sense. And he's doing it with like the aesthetic is what people today, it's the precise aesthetic that people today love. They love like every girl in the world follows hashtag Tulum on Instagram. They like super rich beach vacation. I'm gonna go to Lake Como. I'm gonna like that whole like high-end wealth vacation vibe is like all the aesthetic these days. Like we were even talking about going in on the bachelor party. There's like these après spots that are like people go to après and they don't even ski. They just show up in like furs and shit like that. And I'm
that's
like,
that's some housewife shit.
I was like, that sounds awful.
Yeah.
But I am convinced. I have 2 HBO theories. Judd Apatow back in the day, you remember him getting shit on for like hating women? Like knocked up, like all the girls are dumb and like blah, blah, blah. And like
kind of, I don't really remember that, to be honest.
I think he made girls because he was just like, oh, I hate women. And people were like, this is great. He's like, this sucks, but you guys like it because you're dumb. I tried to make I just literally served you here's a show for girls. I'm going to call it Girls. And then my other theory is Mike White took an aesthetic that people are obsessed about right now and literally made a show that didn't make sense and people are boning out over it. And he is sitting on a pile of money laughing hysterically. I think this is an Andy Kaufman level bit.
Like producers?
Yeah. No, not like it's meant to be bad. He's like, people are so dumb that if I just give it this vibe, there doesn't even have to be a plot. And people will just fucking be like, this show's the best. Show's the best show on TV. Dude, I said to my sister, I go, I feel like I've watched 2 episodes of the show. I feel like they left the script by an open window and it blew over and they put it back together in the wrong order. It's like, it doesn't even make sense.
Well, like I said, new season's out. I guess I'm gonna have to check it out, see what all the talk's about.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'd love to hear. I'd love to hear from dirtballs who are loving White Lotus on the hotline.
310-359-8365.
Tell me how your girlfriend makes you watch it and you don't understand it. And I'll tell you how she doesn't understand it either. She's just dumb.
Well, I don't last, dude. You gotta get my attention, man.
I started watching this. I'll be totally honest. I started watching Running Point being like, this ain't gonna be it. Just like going in, I was like, it's gonna be tame, it's gonna be whatever. They're gonna try to do like a Ted Lasso thing, blah blah blah. It's great. Shockingly edgy. Not like it's so edgy it's shocking, but it's like shocking to me how edgy it is for who's producing it and who's in it, you know.
Yeah, no, I get you. Cool. All right, guys, that's the show. We'll see you guys next week. Have a great weekend, and as always, stay dirty.